Hi everyone, it's Diane with SewBatik, and I'm really excited today to share with you two different projects. The first, I'm going to update you on our Deba Topper and the different versions that I'm making, but then I'm going to spend most of the time talking about our new additions to our Nuance Gradation collection of cotton fabric. This past week, we received a shipment of amazing fabric, and one of the fabrics is our 11 new shades of Nuance Gradations. In a future episode, I'm going to share with you some new 115-inch wide Batik Cotton, as well as some 72-inch wide jersey knit. I'm excited about all of these fabrics, but there is just something for me, something about the Nuance Gradations that is just joy. And so I wanted to share this with you first. Each one of these shades, and I have the bolts here, which is really kind of super unfair because you can't see the entire shade grouping and shade change of the Nuance Gradations. But when you see them like this, I just think it is so impactful and it just makes you smile. But I am going to set these aside and we're going to talk about the 11 new shades and how they're working with our existing shade family as well. So at the end of all of this, you're going to see 39 different shades of Nuance Gradations. I'm going to hold up each one of the 11 new shades so that you can see what they look like from selvage to selvage, because Nuance Gradations are what a lot of you call an ombre. They change in color intensity from one selvage to the other, or you'll see that they change between two different colors. So I'm going to start by showing you, I'm kind of calling this newest group of fabrics kind of the whisper shades. They're really the light shades that when you mix them with a shade that we might have in our collection already, you will see a lighter shade going to a really darker shade when you mix more than one fabric together. But let me start and show you each one of these shades, and then we're going to go into showing you how they work in the collection. The first shade is Apricot. So this is the lightest selvage edge over here with the light shade going to its darker shade. And when I say darker here, it's not very dark. It is a beautiful, rich, kind of a brilliant apricot. So this is Apricot. I'm going to set these aside as I go. This is Barely Pink, and this has kind of, I think they all kind of have a little bit of a dusty hue to them. So this is Barely Pink. So when you're thinking and looking at each one of these shades, what do you think you can do with them? We're going to talk a little bit about that at the end. This is Rose Petal. It has more of a hint of kind of a brownish pink to it. This is Lavender. This might be the darkest of what I would call our whisper shade, but this is Lavender. We have Whisper Yellow, from light edge to the darker edge of this very light yellow. So this is Whisper Yellow. I really love Seedling. Seedling is a green and it's really subtle. Very subtle, from light to dark. This one works really well with the current shade of Mint. Now this is a brighter shade. This is called Spicy Orange. And in our, I call a monotone collection of gradations, we sort of were missing an orange that stands all by itself. We had cinnamon, and we also have cantaloupe, which goes from yellow to orange, but we're really missing one that's kind of a monotone orange that goes from a light orange to a dark. And this is really a beautiful shade called Spicy Orange. I'm really glad we have this fabric. It really fills out a collection. This is our I'm going to turn this around just a little bit here. This is our lightest shade. This I'm calling Ghost. And it is almost white on this selvage edge to, it's kind of a purple undertones to it, but this is called Ghost. Would make an amazing background to a quilt or a table runner. Hazel is the next fabric. And again, this is bolder. This wouldn't be part of our whisper group, but this is Hazel. And I think we were missing this shade in our brown collection. It has a golden shade to it. And it works really well with Adobe, which has kind of a burnt orange to a deep brown shade to it. And I'm really happy to bring back navy. So this is navy, from light to dark. And then we do have one of our multi-tone gradations, and this is Rougeberry. We had this years and years ago, and I'm going to show you a wall hanging with this in it. But this is Rougeberry, so it goes from kind of a peach over to a berry shade, which is more of a kind of a pink berry. So you can see 3 distinct colors in this fabric. I love it. So those are the 11 new shades, but I want to show you a couple of projects, and these projects are a little older, but they're going to share with you kind of what you can do with some of the gradations that are super, super simple, and how to look at these. Now the one that has, I'm going to grab a couple of these projects right here, but the one that has the Rougeberry in it, and the reason I wanted to bring it back is because it's like the cutest wall hanging, and it's so simple to make. So this is Dresden Delight. Look at how fun this project is, and it's a simple wall hanging. But the top Dresden here, that is fabric from Rougeberry, only Rougeberry. The second Dresden flower is from Cantaloupe, so yellow to orange, and the third is Hyacinth Violet. And the leaves are all from the shade of Fairway, and the centers to the flowers are also from Fairway. The background of this wall hanging, these are 2.5-inch squares that have been sewn together on that fusible grid. Super simple to put together. You don't even have to piece all this one by one. You put them on the grid in a random fashion. I actually planned mine out just a little bit, so you can kind of see that the lavender went from dark lavender into a lighter lavender. I did plan this one just a little bit, but I shouldn't have done that because it needs to look a little bit more random. But you press the 2.5-inch squares on the grid, and then you stitch the grid in columns and in rows. Apply the Dresdens, you applique those on, and I did raw edge applique. So I stitched this down with the blanket stitch on my sewing machine, really simple, quilted it in an easy way, and then bound it. So it's just a simple binding, and I used the Barely Pink on the back. So this is just a simple, fun wall hanging that uses, 3 or 4 main fabrics plus little blocks. Like a 3-inch strip is all we cut off of our each one of the lighter shades of gradation, put them through the AccuCutter for the 2.5-inch squares, and there you have it. So think of different ways that you can use these gradations in projects or patterns that you might have in your collection of patterns. This is called Toddler Tumbler, and it's a lap quilt that utilizes the light shades that I just showed you, that introduced to you. Isn't that just fun? They're just randomly placed tumbler blocks, and the tumblers on this one are the larger tumbler from the AccuCut set, and it's like 6.5 by 4.5 or something like that, and I'll have to check on the size, and it's on the kit, but we do have kits of this as well. But this is called Toddler Tumbler, what I like about it is that this could also be a background for applique. So you could put flowers, you could put animal shapes, you could do so many different things on top of this to make it your own little design, but it's just simply using tumblers. Now, I did finish the edge of the tumbler. I didn't cut it straight, but I did do the curvy edge of the tumbler, and so I have bias binding on the edge of this quilt sample. Now, another one, same tumbler, but it's cut from a few of the bright gradation shades. And these are the ones that are multi-tone shades like cantaloupe or tequila sunrise or blueberry. So it gives you more options from one strip of fabric. So this is the bright version of the toddler tumbler. Isn't that amazing? It's just a fun, simple quilt project where you're stitching together each one of the pre-cut tumblers, quilting it up in your favorite quilt design. It's just a fast way to give an amazingly beautiful gift, or keep it for yourself. But isn't that fun? And again, you can cut off the edges to make a straight edge to not have kind of that extra difficulty of binding on a little curve there. But just simple ways to use the nuance gradations. And I really wanted to share with you how that rougeberry looks in a project. But next, what I want to do is take you through, I'm going to do an overhead shot of all of our nuance gradations and how I've incorporated each one of the shades into two different versions of the color. I'm going to show you two different versions of how I look at these fabrics. But the first one is going to be in a color grouping. So how did each one of the new 11 go into our collection? And then I'm going to rearrange these into how I would use them, whether they be seasonally or in a project, but just two different ways to look at these gradations. Let's go. The first color grouping that I want to share with you, and again, this is all 39 shades of our gradations. What I did is I have inserted in what I would call color groupings. For example, here are the yellow to orange, pinks, purples. Here's more of the browns and blues. So what I did is I took, for example, this is our green grouping. Here is seedling. That's the new seedling, which goes with mint. Here is fairway. This is teal. And then we kind of are jumping into some of the turquoise colors. So this is light turquoise. This is turquoise. So these two together give you an amazing range of shades, from the lightest white turquoise to the deep shade of darker turquoise. Then we have Atlantis. So we're kind of getting into some blues to greens. That's a great transitional fabric. This is Danube. Now here's where I put navy. So this is navy. Here's Nautica, which is a really royal blue. This is Copen blue. Now Copen could also have been over in more of the green grouping because it kind of works well with the teal as well, or turquoise as well. And then we go to Blue Nights, which is kind of getting into more of that charcoaly gray shade, and Terra, which is a deep, rich, dark blue to charcoal blue, black. Now we get into some of the blue or brown shades. Now, I want to step back for 1 second and share with you that I don't have these open wide like I showed you on the camera. And so you'll have to know that the gold, this is Tequila Sunrise. So this goes from gold to red. Cantaloupe goes from yellow to orange. And you can see all the individual shades on our website. If you scroll through the Nuance Gradation Collection, you'll see each one of the wide open images of each fabric, okay? But back over here to brown, I'm gonna start with linen. Here is the new rose petal to brown, And then we get into more of the gold shade, which is hazel. That's new. Our adobe, which everybody loves adobe. It's just an amazing colorway. And then this is our deep dark brown called bark. So where we have kind of a black and blue shade that's really super deep, we also have our bark, which is more in the brown shades. And now we're going to go into more of the reds. This is cardinal scarlet red, which goes from a very light red to a bold red. And again, this is tequila sunrise, so it goes from gold to orange to red. So in the middle of this, now we're transitioning over to orange and yellow. And cantaloupe goes from yellow to orange. Here is whisper yellow. Oh, this is whisper yellow. So this is yellow. This is whisper yellow. And now we have the new apricot. Spicy orange, which is also new. So these two were really missing from our collection. This is just a great addition. And now we have cinnamon. And here's the new rose bouquet, roseberry, or rougeberry. Why do I keep getting that wrong? This is rougeberry and black cherry. So now we're getting into the pinks. Here's barely pink. And you can see that it has kind of a dusty hue to it, a little bit muted, which works beautifully with ruby red. And this is fuchsia, which transitions from a really rich berry to kind of a purple that you would see in hydrangea. This is blueberry, from turquoise to purple. Here we have hyacinth violet, purple, grape, which is very similar to the berry side of hyacinth. So again, that's a wonderful transition. This is the new lavender. And this is the new lightest shade we call Ghost. So this is the color grouping. This is what I call a color grouping anyway, where you have yellows together, oranges and reds and browns kind of mixed together. Now what I'm going to do is mix this up and show you what I would do for maybe more seasonal or another way to look at each one of the colorways. Here's the next grouping of fabrics, and you're going to see quite a difference. I'm going to start over here and share with you what I consider our fall collection. It goes from, and you can see why. Actually, I'm going to step back. I'm going to show you that there is one grouping here that we're going to talk about that I consider fall. Then we have the multi-shade, really brilliant bright shades. And then we have what I call monotones. This is my Crayola grouping, which has all of the light to darks in them, again, bright tones. And then we have what I'm calling our whisper shades. Okay, so I'm going to step back and show you. Now we have our cardinal, ruby red, fairway, which is it's beautiful for any kind of foliage if you're doing any kind of applique. So this is your green stems and leaves that change color from a light to dark green. This is Copen blue to teal. Here is brown, hazel, cinnamon, adobe, and bark. Do you see how this group this is what we call, one of our shade packs is gatherings, the gatherings. Next, we have the multi-tone that's really brilliant and bright. So each one of these changes color between more than one shade. So we have yellow to orange in our cantaloupe. And you can see some of the orange coming through in the middle of the fabric here. This is Tequila Sunrise, one of my favorites. It goes from a gold to orange to red. Here is the new Rougeberry. This is Fuchsia, Blueberry. Here's Hyacinth Violet. Atlantis, and this one is really beautiful, used as a background. Even if you were to cut it up and use it as a mixed background with squares or hexagons or anything, you have your sky and you have the grass, and I just think it's a beautiful fabric as a basic background. Here is Mint, Nautica. This is a subtle change. Nautica is a subtle change from the darkest blue to the lighter shade of blue, but both being dark. And again, here's Terra, and Terra changes from a blue black to kind of a charcoal black. So that is our second grouping. Here's our Crayola box. So we're going to start with yellow, scarlet, and you see how now spicy orange really fills out this collection. So now we have an orange in here where we never had that before. And I just really, really love how this fits in. Now we have black cherry, purple, grape, our turquoise, Danube, and I put our navy in here too. I know that gives us two blues. This could have also gone over to the fall shade group as well because it has that kind of tone to it, but I think it fits beautifully in here. And then this is Blue Nights. And our last grouping, which is mostly new. We have one in here that's not. This is the light turquoise, but we have our Barely Pink. This is Rose Petal. Here is Linen. This one was in existence before too. This one's not new. So our light turquoise, here's Apricot, Whisper Yellow. Here is Seedling, Ghost, my fave, and Lavender. So each one of these now, all 39, fit into different family groupings as well. And you'll see these as shade packs on our website right now. And I'm gonna, actually I have to add some shade packs with the Whisper group. So those will be up soon. But you can do so many different things with these fabrics, and you know, any one of the fabrics that transition in color. So for example, the turquoise, not turquoise, I'm looking at turquoise. The Tequila Sunrise, you know, when you look at this, this could fit in so many different places because it transitions from the gold yellow to an orange to the red. And one thing to remember also, and I'm going to point this out now that I did this and showed you the separation of color, is on our website there's a conversion guide of how you can convert some of the patterns that are written for, you know, just the different blocks that change color with fabric. I have a conversion chart of how to measure and calculate how much fabric you need of each different colorway. Say, for example, your pattern calls for a fat quarter of a gold, a fat quarter of orange, and a fat quarter of red. Well, all you need to do is buy 1.25 yards, which is your 45 inches. We just turn the fabric 45 inches this way, and you have 9 inches this way, which is 9 by 45, which is equal to a fat quarter. That's a fat, even though it's a 1/4 yard of fabric, it's the same thing as a fat quarter. So there's different ways to look at each one of these fabrics, and download that conversion chart, and that'll help you calculate anything that we haven't already done for you in a project kit. Because I always want to make sure in our kits that you know how to cut the gradation apart to fit that particular project. For example, we have on our website ombre lattice. This is a kit that we have on our website. So I've already done the work on how to calculate yardage and cut out our gradations to fit this exact look. V & Company has really fun projects that utilize their line of fabric, but yet they're so workable for any ombre, any nuance gradation that you think you would love your project to be out of. So from light to dark, and we can calculate exactly how many yards you need of each colorway that you'd like to put in your projects. I love the cabins, the lovely ombre cabins, and also the gems. Gems is really a beautiful project. A couple others that I pulled off one of our racks over here. This is what I'm really interested in doing, and it is the Nordic Star, where you could transition in color from the upper left of the quilt to the lower right with turquoise, or you could start with Copen blue, working in towards the light shades of the Copen blue, and then go into our navy. We could do Danube into navy into Nautica. Just a beautiful way to show the blues that we have in the collection. And if your color is yellow and orange, you can work in cantaloupe or tequila sunrise or spicy orange or yellow into that project as well. So whatever your colorway happens to be, we can work it in and make the design for you. I love a couple of others that I think are so much fun. I really love this Mod Flower Box pattern by Robin Pickens. It's so fun, and what drew my attention to this pattern is the different shades. This looks like a hand-dyed design here, and she has different examples using printed fabric as well. But I just love how the hand-dyed looks on this particular design. So we could use some of the whisper shades, we can use our oranges and come up with a similar color palette, or you just pick your own and make the design your design. So I think the Mod Flower Box is just a beautiful pattern. And then there's always So Kind of Wonderful. They have so many fun kid patterns and just so many different designs. And this one got me thinking about how we could use, for example, I've got Tequila Sunrise out here, but that could be car number 1, car number 2, car number 3, and car number 4. So we can use 1, 2, 3, 4. We could use 6 different fabrics to get the colorways you want. But it's just a great way to use more than, or to incorporate more than one colorway into a project. This one is such a cute project. So those are some examples that we have on our website. I'm sure you have more in your pattern collection of different quilt projects or garment projects for that matter. So take a look at all the different colors that we have and all the different fabrics in this collection now, and let me know what you think we might be missing. Are we missing a shade that you've tried to incorporate into a project of your own and just can't get the right shade? So in the comments below, let me know what shade we might be missing, because we will definitely do our darndest to get it into the collection. I hope this still looks okay with this video, because I had to change from my phone over to my laptop. My phone decided it was done for Sunday, and I'm not yet done. So we'll keep going on this. So the second portion of today's episode is an update on the Deba Topper, and that is a pattern by Itch to Stitch. In the description of the video below, you're going to see a link directly over to the Itch to Stitch website for this item, and you really do need to download this pattern. If you are an experienced garment sewer, just add this to your collection. It's easy to tape together, it is so easy to sew, and it is a wonderful addition to anybody's wardrobe. If you're a new sewist, it's a great way to get going. It's really very simple, and I'm going to use my first version of this as an example. This was made from our canvas. This is the 5-ounce canvas, and this is the motif of Phoenix. The colorway is Turbulent Blue. It is a simple front, a straight front, and it has a facing that goes from the hem all the way around the neckline to the other hem. It has a loop and button closure, and this is an 1.5 inch button, but I think you can use any size that you would like it to be. Just make sure that your loop is working with the size of button that you have. It has darts, so you can fit to your cup size, and her patterns are from 0 to 40 with multiple cup sizes, so it's really easy to get as close as possible to your body style. The front has an extended shoulder with an arm opening, simple hem. The back is placed on the fold, and it has a shirt tail hemline to it. Isn't that fun? Now, if you don't want to do the curved hem, you can make a straight hem. And the length of this garment, there are 2 different length markings on the pattern. One is for a crop top, which is the version here that I'm holding, and one is for a little bit longer, and it's about 3 inches difference. So yeah, it's about 3 inches or so, but you can make these any length you want. I was looking on the Itch to Stitch Facebook group, which is a really, really fun group, and they share so many different makes and so many different ideas, even just different hacks. Like somebody put sleeves on theirs. One sewist lengthened it to be kind of like a house coat. Just so many different things because it is such a simple pattern that can be made to so many different styles. So I'm wearing the Batik Linen, and this is the hand-dyed shade of Delft. And I really love the length of this one. It's a little bit longer. And I finished it with a make your own button. So this is the Delft linen as my button as well. Now I am making a third version, and I'm wearing these long sleeves here in August, which is a beautiful day out today. It's about 80 degrees. But I'm wearing this because I wanted to see how this topper would fit over something that has more of a sleeve, and because I'm going to make a quilted version of this. I have already quilted up the fabric and I've cut out my jacket. I keep calling it a jacket, but it's a topper. But I've cut this out, but I haven't sewn anything together yet. So I wanted to share with you what I have selected to do. Now, I did realize that with this, even just a simple thin sweater on, long sleeves knit top, the arm opening isn't very much. So I have reduced, well, I have lowered the arm so that there's more space for a thicker top that I'm going to wear in the winter, fall and winter, because I know I'm going to wear this quilted jacket in the office. Here we go. I selected as my main fabric. Now these are two of our 115-inch wide cotton collection. Okay, so stamp batik and hand-dyed batik. This is vine is the motif, and this is the shade of Royal Garden. And my lining is hand-dyed Copen Blue. And I just think these look really, really good together. And so that's why I selected these two, and I quilted it up on our long arm machine because we do, if you're new to us, we do a lot of custom pre-quilted fabric. So we're always working on pre-quilted fabric projects for you, whether or not you would like wool, which is what I used in my as my batting. So I have wool because I want this to be warm. I am up here in North Dakota, so I want this to be warm for the winter. But I have wool batting, and we also pre-quilt with soft and stable. So if you are a bag maker and don't like the quilting process of it all, we'll do that for you. So you can select two fabrics. For bags, I will honestly tell you, you can use canvas and cotton, whatever you'll see all the options on our website. Actually, I'll put a link below to that as well. But we're getting into the season for pre-quilted fabric, and so I know we're going to be extraordinarily busy. But pre-quilted fabric, so this is, let me jump back to I'm kind of jumping all over the place here, but let me go back to this topper. Here is the back piece, and I did fold this in half and laid out my pattern piece. So I have the back piece of the fabric of the topper. Same thing for the two front pieces. Now, I'm going to tell you that I did put the dart markings in, but I am concerned about how the darts are going to work, and I probably should have laid this out without the darts, so shifting the pattern just a tad bit, but we'll see how this turns out, and I'll give you an update on that. And then for the facing, I have used the lining fabric, not quilted. So I have two facing pieces cut for the front facing and for the neck. And I've also used the hand-dyed Copen Blue cotton as my loop. And so I'll figure out what I'm going to do with the button. Maybe I need to do something other than a pre-made button. We'll see what I can actually come up with for a button this time. But I think it's going to be a really, really neat quilted topper. Couple things I'm going to consider, and I'll probably do another update on this, if not a tutorial on how I did this. But I am going to finish off my inside seams with the binding. I'm going to use the Copen Blue as my binding, and I'm going to also use my binding to finish off the hem and the arm openings. I'm not going to turn quilted fabric and stitch it into place. I want it sealed. So I'm going to use bias binding to finish off any open end. I haven't decided yet if I wanted to make this reversible, completely reversible. And if so, I'm also going to finish each one of the shoulder seams and the side seam with a binding finish so that it looks complete regardless of how I would wear this jacket. So we'll see how I'm going to finish this off, but hopefully I will get this in another tutorial for you guys later on. But I'm going to try and work on this week, and I'm really excited about it. But I think it's going to be fun to have a quilted jacket. Well, a topper, so that, I mean, our office here gets a little bit cool in the winter, and just to have something with a little bit of comfort that you can put on. You know, I also have a third update for you. In addition to the new Nuance Gradations that we received this past week, we also received additional 115-inch wide Batik Cotton, as well as some replenishment and new 72-inch wide Batik Cotton jersey knit. So in the week to come, I hopefully can get those images on our website, and I'll give you an update video on what each one of them looks like as well. So I'm really excited about that. I just couldn't get it all done for this weekend's video. So until next week, keep sewing, smiling, and sharing.